Hi, you're listening to Every Scar Tells a Story with Cristina and Alejandra, the founders of Savoir Beauty, the leading brand of luxury skincare for scars. When we started this brand, we were deeply moved by the stories people shared with us. Stories of vulnerability, resilience, healing, and strength.
These stories changed us, and we know they have the power to help others too. We created this podcast to turn those stories into something bigger, into something healing. Thanks for being here. Hello, welcome to Every Scar Tells a Story podcast by Cristina and Alejandra. We are the founders of Savoir Beauty, and I'm so thrilled today to introduce our special guest. She is a friend of mine. We go way back. Her name is Carly Guerra, and she has over 20 years in the prestige beauty industry. That's where we met. We both worked at L'Oreal together. And then she had a little stint at Dior while I was at Chanel. And today she is here as the founder and CEO of Savoir Beauty, which is an absolutely beautiful new brand with an incredible formula, incredible mission. I don't want to give it away because I want Carly to tell us all about it. She's also a breast cancer survivor, and so we're here to hear about her beautiful scar story. So before we get into cancer and survivorhood and your scar and your incredible company, for our listeners, could you tell us a little bit about Carly before the diagnosis, before the scar?
Sure. Thank you for that lovely intro, my friend. I'm so excited to be joining your podcast. And as you mentioned, I had 20 years approximately in prestige beauty, a wonderful experience, all at like high volume global brands. And I think when, our many coffees and breakfasts that we share, was always into kind of health and fitness as well, and living in Manhattan, New York City area for the last 20 years as well, but originally from upstate New York in the Utica area. So I actually went out on my own in 2022 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
What was your life like, the general feeling of it? What was the energy in your life? What were you doing before you were diagnosed?
Sure. That is such a thoughtful question because truly when, after you get diagnosed or have a health experience of some sort, truly, it doesn't change you, but it transforms you. It's how you look at life and how you look at the world. So you know how it was during our times working together. You're so dedicated to your careers and friends and family. Feel like a lot of people in general who are living in the New York area are like very, very passionate about life, passionate about experiences, passionate about what they do for work. It was just kind of like one day going into the next, getting up, working out, going to work, being with friends and loved ones. And you plan some things for a future, but you kind of almost have this feeling of, well, at least I can say for myself, which I haven't even really thought about it in this way until you asked this question, was I kind of look at almost like as this kind of sounds weird, like a circle. It's like I have an understanding now of like, okay, I will start, there'll be an experience and it will close. And before I looked at it as like almost like very like linear, but I never really thought of the end of the line, if that makes sense. And after the this experience that I had, I think about the close of it, but I also think of it more on like along the lines of a circle of, okay, what am I going to contribute to the world in a holistic way, both as a human being and then also from my experience in working, what can I develop and create and leave? So that's how my perspective has shifted. I was talking to one of my very close friends was a L'Oreal baby. Shout out to one of my besties, Leah Kasulis, who's now at Kiehl's, and she was such a great help and support to me when I was diagnosed, and she came with me to several doctor's appointments. And I said to her, this experience has been so interesting for me because you come to the realization of, and you know this, but it's not until you're actually hit with the experience that one day the infinity bus will come and we can't say, oh, can you go drive around the block a few more times? I'm not quite ready to get on it yet. So you come to that understanding and realization of, yes, I'm not invincible. And what do I want to do with the time that I have left?
I just have to say what you said about looking at life as circular events versus one long line with not knowing where the end is one of the most powerful things I've ever heard. I will never forget that statement, and I'm going to start thinking about that with everything that I do moving forward. That takeaway alone is so amazing. Carly, if you could back up a little bit and tell us about when you were diagnosed. The days leading up, first of all, did you find something yourself? Were you at a doctor's appointment? How did you come to find that something needed to be looked at?
Yeah, that's I'm so glad you brought that up, because as I'm like talking to people and more medical professionals, what I'm, finding and learning is that, a lot of times, majority of times, women are finding something on themselves, and how important it is to not ignore these signs. And I'm very lucky, because unfortunately I was ignoring a sign for for a period of time. And it was, in the beginning I was almost like embarrassed to share this, but I share it now because I think, everybody has a different experience. But I was just so uneducated about breast cancer in general, that, I was always kind of taught, oh, cancer doesn't hurt. And, going back to kind of what we started talking with, how we have lived like such very full lives and, getting up, working out, going to work, going out with friends and loved ones. And I would come back at the end of the day. And I just remember going to bed at night. And one night I was laying there and I was like, why do I have this like very weird burning sensation in my left breast? And I was like, this is odd. And I just like, we work a lot in the city. We're very tired. And I just like went to sleep, and we just ignore pains. We ignore weird feelings like, oh, maybe it's a nerve in my neck. Maybe I turn, I don't know what's going on. I was just kind of like ignoring it. And it kept happening. And because we ignore so much, I was not really feeling during the day, and I kept feeling it at night. The thought never crossed my mind that it was breast cancer, because I was always taught that you wouldn't be able to feel any sort of cancer. But unfortunately, it was when I went in to go get checked out and get the mammogram is when they discovered it.
So you finally were like, this pain, I shouldn't ignore it. I'm going to go get it checked out.
I went in for I think my regular mammo was like a few months down the line. And they had said when I went in for my appointment, they're like, do you notice any changes? Or, have you recognized it? Have you felt anything? And I said, well, I was like, and I think I actually said to them, I go, I know this is totally unrelated, but just so you know, I have this like weird burning sensation on the lower part of my left. So I'm very lucky that the appointment was just regular, a couple of months away, because I would have never ever thought. And, I know we're not talking about the brand right now, but that's one of the things that I wanted to do with this brand also, from my own experiences. It's a mission-driven brand to provide education too, because I think there's misinformation out there, and there's just not enough awareness out there, and not enough familiarity with how we should be caring for our own bodies as women.
100%. I think, and you said you didn't used to share this part of your story often, but you sharing this is going to help so many women, because I have talked to so many breast cancer survivors through ESTAs. I did not know that burning was a symptom to look out for. So that alone is going to help so many women just to speak up, to know to speak up if you feel something like that.
I think the importance of, self-advocacy for your health and for women's health is so important, to be able to say, hey, I'm feeling this sensation, or I'm, not to be embarrassed to say, is this normal, or what's happening with my body?
To have the confidence to bring it up.
Yes.
I know. Doctors are scary. Medical things are scary. Yes. So it's easy to avoid something that's scary. But the more we normalize these conversations, the more it helps people feel the confidence to question any weirdness they feel.
Yes.
So you went to the mammogram. It was scheduled. Thank goodness. Have you had one before, I assume?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I started when you're supposed to begin doing the once at the time. Now I have to go more often, but getting my annual mam.
So you probably left thinking, that's done, and I'll just be back next year. What happened after your test?
It was really weird, because I was, for a few years before that, I'd go in and you'd get the test, and then they're like, you'd like, wait a second. And they're like, okay, you'll get the results in the mail. And this time they called me up to the desk. I remember I was in the waiting room after I'd gotten it done. And I just thought to myself, as they were calling me up, they're like, oh, they're going to schedule my appointment for next year. And they're like, they brought me into another room, and they're like, can you just wait here? And I was sitting there, I was like, this is weird. And I was thinking, oh, did they not? And here I'm just thinking, oh, maybe the picture didn't come out right. Like I was kind of getting like annoyed. I was like, I got to get this done again now. The picture didn't come out clear or what's going on. And then they took me into a second room with the doctor. And that's when they told me that it was a radiologist that told me that they had found something in there that was suspicious and that I needed to take the next step and get a biopsy, which I was in denial.
Mm-hmm.
I was in denial. Like at that, you go through experiences sometime, and I was like, I need to get somebody else to read this because this can't be true. You go through like all of these different stages, and I'm sure everybody's experience is different. But that was like the first thing that I thought of. I was like, this can't be right, and I want to get, even before I go in for a biopsy, I'm going to have somebody else read it.
As an aside, I think
did.
that's a type A. As an aside, I think this is a type A woman reaction.
Yeah,
because we spoke to someone else, Virginia. She had the coolest job at Gilt Group for a while, and she got 6 opinions. She was like, let's check this. She went to 6 doctors, and like, so much respect. I love these women so much that are like, let us confirm.
Yes.
So you did get another opinion. I really love that.
Yes, I did. I did. And I found out I had to get the biopsy. And I said, being L'Oreal trained, I'm like, I need the data. I'm like, what is the percentage, of people that get a biopsy, at my age range, and what you found that, it's going to come back positive. And they're like, oh, it's 30%. So there now I am irritated that I have to get in my mind, I'm like, I'm irritated I have to get the biopsy. Thinking, oh, this is just 30%. Why do I have to get this done? And I went in to get the biopsy. And then when I got the call, my first reaction was, I thought you said it was only 30%. And I can laugh about it now. I can, we go through it, we heal from, we can laugh about it now. But I thought you only said it's 30%. What do you mean? They're like, well, somebody has to make up that 30% chance. I was young to get diagnosed with it. And what's interesting is like, the more I learned and the more I educated myself, I also found out, not only does 1 in every 8 women get diagnosed, but 10% of those are under the age of 45. So I was really surprised to learn all of this information as I went on my journey, and to learn about what was happening with me and what's happening with women's health, with breast cancer and breast care.
Yeah, that's great that you're sharing that learning and the education with everyone. So you get a call after the biopsy, and do they tell you what the diagnosis is like? What happens from there?
Yes. So the call, first, they told me after I got I just take a deep breath for a moment.
Take your time.
I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional.
We understand. Don't worry at all.
They told me I would get a call like within a week and a half to get the results. And it was less than 24 hours that they called me back. And I remember it was on Cinco de Mayo, because I always go out with my friend every year on Cinco de Mayo for margarita. And I did not go out that Cinco de Mayo, but I got the call, and it was just someone like reading the report to me. They're like, I have a report for you. And she was kind of going through it like very fast. And I said, I think like everything was just kind of hitting me all at once. I was like, are you telling me right now that I have cancer? And she just goes, yes. And it just like, took my breath away. And then I was just like trying to digest it. I remember I go, well, when can I see the doctor? And she's like, I can get you in next week. And it was like a Thursday or Friday, and he was going to be gone. And I said, no, not next week. I'm like, today I'm getting in a cab and I'm coming down now. So you have to let me see this. Like, I cannot go this weekend without talking to the doctor and like figuring out what's going to happen. So I don't know if that's the best approach to take. I'm not recommending that to people. That's just, I know myself. And I knew that's what I had to do to like get through the weekend, was to like talk to a medical professional, understand, like gather all the information possible from him, and then go and do my own research and talk to my family and understand, okay, this is what's happened. And I think I should, again, get a few opinions. Alejandra, I did go get multiple opinions even after I got the biopsy report. And then kind of like, I was like, we need to gather information from multiple different hospitals, because I feel like each hospital also has like a different approach. There's exceptional doctors out there, and you want all different doctors to have different opinions, right? It's cancer is and all, medical diagnosis can be very complicated, and there's different approaches that you can take. So, you have to take the best approach for yourself with all of the information that you have.
Mm-hmm. What happened next? So you met with the doctor. What did the doctor say?
He was fantastic. I didn't end up going to him for my surgery. He had a much more aggressive approach that he wanted to take. I ended up going to Memorial Sloan Kettering, which is absolutely fantastic. Nobody wants to be there, but if you have to go, would highly recommend anyone to go there. There's wonderful doctors all across New York or larger cities across, the US, et cetera. But I just had such a very caring experience at Memorial Sloan Kettering at a time when you're completely terrified.
Mm-hmm.
I was totally terrified. I was terrified to go into the surgery. I was terrified for everything.
Can I ask, did that first doctor, was he the one that told you were going to need surgery? Or did you already know that over the phone? When were you told that you were going to need? And what surgery exactly?
I did not. I had a partial mastectomy done where they take part of your breast. I had no idea how how doctors treat breast cancer. I knew people who had it, but I never really asked. I wanted to be there to support them, but I never really asked questions. But I knew that there's radiation, there's chemo, there's different treatment plans that some people take. But I knew that everybody's cancer was different, and I didn't really know what was going to be, the path. So he told me, and I was like, oh, luckily he had this doctor. I mean, he's very well respected. He had such a great personality that he was able to put me at ease.
Mm-hmm.
I remember asking him there, I said, should I be panicking right now? And he said, I'll tell you when it's time to panic. I said, okay, because sometimes that's all you need to hear, that like you have somebody in charge is like, I'll tell you how to feel. Like, right. It's like, how do I feel right now? What do I do? And he put me at ease, and I will be forever grateful to him for that. I'm like, even just like, so you're like, okay, this person's going to tell me how to feel. This person's telling me, not to panic yet.
Mm-hmm.
Or at all. So I'm very, very grateful to him for that.
Carly, how long was it between that appointment and then your surgery? How much time passed?
I had the surgery. I got the opinions. It all happened very quick. And I had the surgery the next month.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
so
that's
pretty
great.
quick.
Very quickly,
Yeah.
yes. It's funny that you mentioned that because I was so scared. And I know this sounds strange. I just felt like so apprehensive and scared, where I was like, I wasn't educated in this. I didn't know what to do. And you have to like surrender and give your trust to people. I felt like I needed like more time to like figure out what I was doing. And I was like, can we just wait till the end of the summer? Which, looking back, I was like, why did I even say this? It needed to come out. I was like, can I just wait till the end of the summer? They're like, let's just get it out now so you can. They were so nice. They're like, so you can enjoy the rest of the summer. Let's just go forward and do that. So to get it behind you. So I will tell you, the surgeons at Memorial Sloan were just absolutely wonderful. And the day before, speaking of scars, like the day before my surgery, I also had to go and some people, I don't know if all people get this done, but sometimes they will put like this chip into your breast around the area where they have to take out the cells that are going bad. So you have to go and a radiologist does that as well. It's similar to the biopsy, where they put your breasts like almost like into a mammo machine, but you're sitting down, and they numb it up, and then they look through a screen so they can watch, and they put the chip inside your breast. And I actually had, from before that, when I had the stereo biopsy, I had like a little bit of scarring from that, because that's a very aggressive biopsy that's done. And they went in and they had figured out they had to, this was not a Memorial Sloan, it was somewhere else. They had to take more out. So I had like a hematoma and, some marks from that. And then I went in to get the surgery. And to your point, with part of the fear, I was like, okay, how, yes, I need to get this out. Yes, I have a major health condition going on, but I'm like, how am I going to look post-surgery? And I think a lot of women feel this. What am I going to look like? What's the scarring going to be like? And my sister came with me to the surgery. And I remember when we got back to my apartment that day, I was like, I need you to look at this because I need you to tell me like how, this is going to sound bad, but I was like, I need you to tell me like, how bad is it? Like, am I going to be able to look at this in a mirror right now?
Mm-hmm.
I need you to tell me, what does this look like? So they give you a special bra post-surgery and, you're bandaged up. And she looked at it and she's like, it's okay. It's not bad. And I was like, are you just telling me that right now? Or is it like, what is it like? And she's like, no, you can handle it and you can look at it. I mean, yes, it was like, as you know, when you first see like a fresh scar, you're like,
it's a wound still.
My goodness.
It's scary.
Yes, it really is. Really is. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, well, I said, okay, I'm glad I saw it and I'm glad I know. And it's not just in, my imagination of what it could, be right now. But I'm glad that I did see it. And I'm glad my sister, held the mirror up, while I was in bed and showed me.
If you're listening to this podcast, you may have a scar of your own or know somebody struggling with theirs. At Estes Beauty, we believe that every scar tells a story and that your healing deserves the very best care. That's why we created the first luxury skincare brand designed specifically for scars.
Our 3-step ritual, the morning massage cleanser, daily dose serum, and sleep salve overnight mask brightens, softens, and soothes scars while turning recovery into an act of self-care.
Your scars don't have to look or feel uncomfortable anymore. Try our products at estesbeauty.com. That's ESTAS beauty.com.
As we like to say, real healing leads to real results. Can I ask, before the surgery, with your doctors, did you talk about like where the scars were going to be? Did you have any influence? Could you say like, oh, I'd rather it be lower or higher on the side? Or was there any planning that went into that?
That's an incredible question. Yes, I did. I did talk to them because a lot of times, like pre-surgery, and even now that I'm, healed, I used to love to wear like a bustier. I love to wear like a nice bustier under a blazer as I like to go out. And I told this to the doctor who I ended up going to a woman doctor, a woman surgeon afterwards. And I said, listen, I'm one that likes to wear like a bustier. Where is how are you going to, I said, I respect your practice and what you do. And I said, I know we need to get this out, but I'm also thinking about afterwards, like, what is it going to look like? Am I still going to be able to wear and dress like how I did before I've had this diagnosis? And she was incredible. And she told me that, what they would do is they did cut in a specific area where it would not show the scarring on the top part of the breast. I think it all comes into play, like with regards to where did they find the cells, size of your breast, etc. How do they need to get at it? But I did make the request. Speaking of, Alejandra, I'm so glad you asked it because of like self-advocacy. I think some women don't even know or think that they can like make a specific request with regards to different types of surgery. But I think, who gave me inspiration to do that was my mom, who had 3 kids and 3 kids by cesarean. And she told, and this was a while ago, she told me how when she was about to give birth, how she made sure that she told the OBGYN that she wanted, I don't know if they still call it this or not, but like the bikini cut and not like, which I'm sure they do like all the time now, but this was like back in the day where it's like they could like cut like up through the stomach. Yeah. And she's like, I want to have this bikini cut. And I remember she told me, she said, the doctor said, no, you don't. You don't want that one. It takes longer to heal. And she's like, I don't care. She's like, that's the one that I want. So, I'm so glad that my mom taught me these stories of like, your advocacy is like a woman and getting health treatment, et cetera, and knowing that it's okay to ask. And sometimes, we can't always get what we want, but right. You can at least feel like that you can ask and and make the request. And if, speaking of getting other opinions, if you don't get the answer you want, to be comfortable enough to ask in a respectful way, why is the answer this and not that, and to be able to get all the answers and information that you need.
Yeah. Can I ask you another question? It might be completely crossing the line, so feel free to just say no. But were you worried about the size of your breasts and them being different sizes? Or I don't know. One of my concerns would be like, is this one going to be smaller than the other one if you're taking out a big lump? Like, how does that, did that go through your mind? Did you talk to the doctors about it?
Totally. Totally. Yes. I asked like all of the questions. I did, I'm like, where's the loss of volume? Where is it? Like, cause it has to come, like, if I'm not going to see it at the top, right? If that's where I want to be able to like showcase, if you will, like if I'm not going to, we're not going to see it at the top. Where is the loss of volume going to like come into play? And maybe I asked too many like why questions or how, but she was like, leave it to me. She's like, I do this all the time. I've done so many surgeries. She was very thoughtful in the respect of, she knows that you have to get the margins out, but she's like, I can play with it after we get it out to make it look as cosmetically the way you want as possible. She's like, but we do have to clear the margins. We have to get it out, and then we can maneuver.
Does that mean
afterwards.
You had a second surgery afterwards?
I did not have a second surgery. I had the one, and thankfully they called to let me know that they had clean margins. Thank goodness. So
that's
so
great.
I was very relieved. Thank goodness.
That must have been just such a wave of relief.
Yeah. That's also like a whole other level of stress. So you go and you have to have this scary surgery, and then you come out of the surgery and you don't even know yet if you got it all. And how long did it take to find out that you had gotten it, that you had the clean margins?
I want to say it was about a week.
Okay.
Because they have to, once they remove the area, then it gets, sent out for the testing. You get the biopsy, which is, just a sample of the area that's impacted, but then they test the, the full area. And I'm sorry if I'm speaking so general. I'm not an MD. It's just, how I remember.
No, this is great.
Very real talk. Then they send the stuff out, and they have to just make sure that, you have clean margins. So it took a week. I was very happy to get that.
Amazing.
That's a wonderful call to get. After your surgery, after you had recovered, let's backtrack. How long did it take you to recover from the surgery? Like, when did your body start feeling a little bit better? When did the wound stop looking so much like a wound and a little bit more like a scar?
They put in your body this type of surgery. You get like these titanium clips. So anytime you get a mammogram after that, they know, okay, this area was tested and removed, and they know that's already been checked. It still happens like this day, and they told me that it could continue to happen throughout your life, and it gets progressively better. Sometimes, I'd just be walking down the street and I'd get like this like stabbing sensation into your breast. And it happened a lot the first year, to be totally transparent. It happened a lot. And I asked them about it, and they were like, this is completely normal because the body, it heals quickly, but it doesn't like these types of surgeries. It does not like to be like invaded like that. And it's, getting, of course, like some nerves are cut and are impacted when you have this type of surgery. So it's all kind of like putting itself back together. And so in general, sometimes I will be reminded and still have the pain. But with regards to the scar itself, it took like a good couple months to go through and to be like, okay, now we're looking like a scar and not like a wound that's not in a healing process right now.
Same experience with my C-sections, like at the beginning, and I was very afraid of them because I was afraid that they were going to open back up or something. But once they did feel like they couldn't open back up, which in my mind is what a scar is. And once you were in the scar phase, did you talk to your doctor about that? what was your relationship with it once it was scar? How did you interact with it, think about it, feel about it?
It's so interesting. I feel like I could get like emotional right now when I talk about this because it all came like so quickly that every time I would get out of the shower, it's like, oh my God, I can't. Of course, it was like always fresh in my mind every day, but it like seeing a scar, it just makes it so real. It's like, wow, I can't believe I've had this experience, or that I've gone through this. And it's, cancer is a journey. And it's like, I think it was more than the aesthetic piece at that point. It came to be like, oh, wow, my life has like been totally transformed. And I was almost, this sounds strange, but I was almost like grateful for it. It was very grounding for me to be like, okay, I have conquered this part that was so fearful to me to like embark on. It kept me in that what's the word I want to use? I don't want to use the word reality, but it truly just kept me grounded, kept me focused with regards to, like, I feel like sometimes we just kind of spread ourselves so thin. It's like, okay, here's your reminder of, like, you need to focus on you, to focus on, your care, and look at how much that you have accomplished and pushed through and got through. In a strange kind of way, I know it might sound weird to people. It was, I don't want it there, and I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But in a strange way, it was also like very comforting for me. I took control and did what I needed to do for myself, and it was something that I had gotten through.
To those circles, that just
Yes.
gave me the chills. That
Mhm.
that just gave me the chills to think of your scar as a comforting reminder of how strong you.
Yeah, you made me think of how, because especially the people we've spoken to lately, Cristina, everyone's like type A, fast-paced life, accomplishing and doing so many things. And I think our status quo would be to just jump right back in and keep going, right? To not let anything derail us. And the way that you described it made me realize it is a good reminder that, yes, I had a major surgery, and seeing your body heal, I think watching the process happen, it's almost like a reminder that, oh, I do need to take it easy because this wound is still a wound, or this wound is just the beginnings of a scar. It's still bright and red and inflamed and fragile and dangerous. And I don't know, just the way you described it made me realize, like, that's for people who are just speeding through life, to have the visual cue and reminder, and also sensorial, because it definitely feels different, like you described, is probably a really good thing to help us take the time to heal internally as well, maybe a little bit psychologically, although some people are better than that than others. I'm still working on the psychological part. The way you described that was really great. Thank you.
I think that's, one of the, I think with what you've done with Estes is just so beautiful too, because I think it just ties right into that, of that seeing your scar and like the self-care that, with your product and like caring for your body. And it's so beautiful what you both created, because it's not just a physical scar that people have. It has so much meaning behind it, with how we grow and how we care for ourselves, and truly how we care for others too, and how we can show up for others after we have any sort of like life altering experience when we have a scar. So thank you for what you've created.
Thank you. Well, now we have to get into Savoir Beauty, because I tried your serum. Thank you so much for sending it to me. And it's amazing. I'm going to be completely honest. I was like, why would I need a serum for my boobs? That was my thought. And I have not had breast cancer or breast augmentation, although none of those things are obviously off the table. But I was like, I'm going to try it because I love Carly, and I feel like everything Carly does is incredible. And I did. So the way I applied, just so you know, is I pumped it into my hands, and then I rubbed my hands together, and then I massaged it into my breasts. And I was blown away by the sensorial experience. Like the texture, the thinness, and the playtime, the buoyancy was just perfect. And then I told Cristina, I was like, I don't know how else to describe this, but my boobs looked younger. And like,
She told
I
me
like
that.
feel silly saying this because I've like breastfed 2 children, and they do not look the way they used to look. And when I use your serum, my breasts look more youthful. And I was like, what? Never could, and I put body moisturizer on my whole life. Like head to toe, I moisturize every part of myself. But I've never in my life imagined putting anything other than that on my breasts. And your serum really made my boobs look more youthful. Like I wanted to show them off, but they're private parts, so I couldn't. But I wanted to be like, look at the difference. It is really amazing what you've developed. And please tell us about that. Tell us about your journey, your mission.
Sure, absolutely. And I'm so glad, Alejandra, that you're noticing that, because it is a patent pending formula. I'm glad you're recognizing that, and it delivers that. There's an 84% immediate increase in hydration, so you're getting the nourishment there that you need. So anyway, that's an aside. So it was actually in the shower. It was right after I was diagnosed. You have to go through a series of testing after. One of the things I was waiting for was the BRCA gene, because that kind of determines like your journey and what you're going to do. Alejandra, to what you were saying just now about how, you use body moisturizer everywhere. What I was doing too, and we're in the beauty industry, and we get to try all of these like amazing skincare creams. So, I've been moisturizing everywhere with everything for like almost 20 years. And I was like, oh my goodness, is this, you start to question everything. I was like, is this something I did to myself over the years? Is it something I put on myself? So I was like, as soon as I get out of this shower, I have to take control. Like, I have to find a product that was formulated for the breast area that I know is like clean, that has precision target just for this area. I could not believe it that there was nothing out there that existed. There were like a few things here and there, but they all talked about more along the lines of enhancement, lifting, firming, making bigger. And that is like the opposite of what I wanted. I wanted something calming, hydrating, anti-redness, specifically for this area that's different than any other part of the body. So as I couldn't believe, first and foremost, that, in the industry, we have a category for every other area, eye, lip, neck, and we just kind of like skipped over the breast area. And as I got more educated about how many women are impacted, I said to myself, I cannot be the only person that needs or would want this product. So that's how Savoir was born. And Savoir means to know in French. And the tagline is beauty in the know. And it has like several different meanings. One of them is like to know what you're putting on your body and being knowledgeable about, your ingredients and what you're utilizing. But it's also, has a meaning, very personal meaning for me of when you go through an experience in life and through how this brand was ideated. It was from a very powerful health experience for me. And one of my managers at L'Oreal had told me this: once you know something, you can't unknow it. Like as a child, when you learn how to ride a bike, you can't unknow how to ride a bike. Like once you have an experience of something, like you grow, you learn, you know. And for women, and all women, whether they've had a diagnosis, a scare, or who have been, touched by someone who has or had breast cancer, you're in the know. You know what it's like to go through this journey. So that's kind of how the brand name came about.
Wow, that's so powerful. What a community you can build through this brand, and such an opportunity to educate. I'm really grateful for this entire conversation. It's been so amazing. I think that it's going to touch so many listeners. One of the things that we like to ask sort of on our way out is if you were to give advice to anyone that's going through, either a loved one is going through a similar journey, or maybe they're just embarking or hearing the news just right now, what would be a piece of advice that they could take away, or something that they could, even something tangible like a book or a product, or something that they could use to help them as they navigate this for themselves?
Yes. I have two pieces. One, I have something tangible, and one, something that someone told me when I was, going through the experience and waiting, to go and have a surgery done. Was they said, enjoy every moment. You have this like weighing on your head, but go and enjoy every moment. Go for a walk, look around, smell, see things, and just every single moment, stay present and enjoy every single moment of life. So I would say that it was one of the best pieces of advice that I got, just in, no matter what's ahead, be there and enjoy the moment. And then I have, this is on my bookshelf here. This book is amazing, which I think a lot of people know about, but it was so impactful for me. Someone told me to read it, and I actually just bought one for my friend who's going through breast cancer right now. It's called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And I'm sure you may have both heard about this book, but it was so impactful for me because she talks about how you approach life, how your relationship to yourself and your relationship to others. And everyone has a different perspective and looks at life differently. She talks in the book about different illnesses that come about, and perhaps it can be caused by your perception or certain beliefs about life, and how you can go and maybe shift those beliefs to take care of yourself and to heal yourself and to heal your life. So this is such an incredible book. And she had, the author, I believe, had cancer, and with this approach that she had, she healed herself and she shared it with others. So I'm very grateful for this wonderful book.
We're very grateful for you. This was truly such an impactful conversation. Alejandra, is there anything that you want to ask as we close this up?
Well, before we leave, I feel like you have some Savoir bottles behind you. Can you just show us the beautiful packaging? Because it's amazing. Yes. Can you? It's such a beautiful bottle. I thought it was a fragrance the first time I saw a picture of it. It's gorgeous.
Well,
you're going to have to describe it for the listeners because not everyone has a visual.
Alejandra, thank you so much first and foremost. So, thank you for saying this beautiful package because we did win the gold medal for visual impact for packaging this past year, which is amazing. And, when I was, ideating this after the formula was so important. And I was like, okay, let me think of this packaging. Being that it's a mission-driven brand, I was like, okay, I want to turn this experience from fear to fun, like talking about being in the moment and enjoying every moment. It's like, I want to make sure that, women are becoming familiar with themselves and their bodies. And I wanted it to be an object where people, and women keep it on their vanities, where it's a reminder and something that they want to pick up and touch and feel. So I really wanted to make it beautiful, kind of when you're going through I don't know if you ever had this experience, but you're walking around a luxury department store and you see some of these beautiful fragrance bottles. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how that bottle smells or I don't know what's in it, but I just want the bottle. That's how I designed this. I was like, I wanted it to be something where women would love to keep it on their vanities. So thank you for sharing that.
It's gorgeous. Will you just show us the lid? Because when I took the lid off, I was like, oh my gosh, I love. Sorry, this is like beauty industry nerding out. Yeah. It's gorgeous.
Yes, this cap. I'll show you this cap. So it is a custom cap, and it has the double S icon on the top. But what's really interesting about this is that it's like a marbleized effect to it, and each one is different. The marbleization process, each one comes out different. So it represents each woman's unique experience in life and unique health journey.
Wow, that's so cool.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. And where can you buy Savoir Beauty?
Yes, you can buy it at right now. We just, we had our official launch. We're just in WWD at the start of September. So we're on savoirbeauty.com.
Awesome.
Amazing.
And now through the end of October, we donate $5 back for every bottle purchased to a wonderful nonprofit organization called Cancer and Careers that helps people and their employees. And employers, helps people remain in work while they're going through their cancer journey.
Amazing, Carly. You're such an inspiration.
Wow.
Congratulations on this incredible product and formula and mission. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And it's so fun just to get to catch up with you. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you both. Thank you. It was such a pleasure. Congratulations on your brand and everything that you're doing in your podcast.
Thank you for listening. If today's story moved you, hit subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it.
We'll be back next time. Until then, don't hide, heal.